Welcome dear student and Jai Swaminarayan. Today I will start your new chapter, chapter number 10, Light, Reflection and the Refraction. Dear student, in this chapter we discuss about two basic principles, two basic phenomena regarding a light, that are reflection and the refraction. So dear student, first of all, we understand about what is the light, what are the basic properties of the light. So dear student, now think about, look at the different things, different objects around us. We can see all the objects around us in the beautiful world. Think about it, why we can see these different types of the objects around us, why we can see this beautiful world. આપણે આપણી આજુબાજુની જે પણ વસ્તુઓ છે એ વસ્તુઓને આપણે કેમ જોઈ શકીએ છીએ, જરીક આપણે વિચારીએ, થોડુંક આપણે વિચારીએ. Why we can see this different object? Same things we can place in a dark room, we cannot see the object. So the objects which are placed in a dark room we cannot see, but the objects around us we can see. Why this happen, right? How can we see the different types of the objects? What makes the object visible? Of course dear student, right, because of the light. When the light falling on the object, right, the ray of the lights are reflected from the object and enter to our eyes, then and then we can see the different types of the object. So when dear student, when the light falling on the any object, the part of the light is reflected back from the object and enters to the our eye, then we can see the different types of the objects. In the dark room there is no light, so we cannot see the different things placed in the dark room. So dear student, આપણે આપણી આજુબાજુ જે ખૂબ જ સુંદર મજાનું દ્રશ્ય છે, ખૂબ જ સુંદર મજાની વસ્તુઓ છે, આ બધી વસ્તુઓને કેમ જોઈ શકીએ છીએ? કેમ કે એના પર લાઇટ પડે છે એટલા માટે, રાઈટ? સો જ્યારે પણ કોઈ પણ વસ્તુ પર લાઇટ પડતી હોય અને એ વસ્તુ પરથી લાઇટ પાછી પડીને આપણા આંખની અંદર પ્રવેશે ત્યારે આપણે એ વસ્તુને જોઈ શકીએ. જો એના પર લાઇટ ના પડતી હોત તો આપણે એ વસ્તુને જોઈ શકીએ નહીં. સો વોટ ઇઝ ધ મેઇન સોર્સ ઓફ ધ લાઇટ? યસ, sun is our main source of the light. When the sunlight enters to the earth and when the sunlight is incident on the different object, the different lights are reflected from the object and then we can see the different objects. So dear students, let's start for the first topic, what is the light and what are the basic properties of the light. So dear student, what is the light? Light is nothing but the form of the energy that produces the sensation in our eyes. So dear student, how we can define the light? Light is the form of energy that produces sensation in our eye. Only this type of the energy, light energy, can produce a sensation in our eye. Other type of the energy cannot produce the sensation in our eye. So light is the form of energy that produce the sensation in our eye. So dear student, to understand the principle regarding a light, there are so many principles regarding a light like a reflection, refraction, dispersion, diffraction, interference. To understand these principles regarding a light, we need to understand some basic properties of the light. So what are the basic properties of the light we discuss here, right? So first property of the light, light is a high frequency electromagnetic wave. So dear student, here the light is considered as a wave. Light has a two different types of the nature. Some principles regarding a light explained with the help of the particle nature of the light, whereas the sum principle of the light can be explained with the help of the wave nature of the light. So here the light is nothing but the light is a very high frequency electromagnetic wave. There are so many types of the electromagnetic wave like infrared wave, ultraviolet wave, right? In that the visible spectrum of the electromagnetic wave is called the light. So light is a high frequency electromagnetic wave. Light is a visible spectrum of the electromagnetic wave that has a wavelength 400 nanometer to the 700 nanometer. So that is the important light. What is the wavelength range of the light? Wavelength range of the light is a 400 nanometer to the 700 nanometer. Only this electromagnetic wave having a wavelength 400 nanometer to the 700 nanometer we can see. It is in the visible spectrum. So dear student, light is considered as a high frequency electromagnetic wave, right? Understand? Next important property regarding a light is a light does not require any medium to travel. Light can travel in all the medium. It does not require any medium to travel, right? Light can travel in a water also. Light can travel in a glass also. Light can travel in any medium. It does not require any medium. Because of that, the sunlight reaches to the earth, while the major portion between the sun and earth is a vacuum, right? There is no atmosphere between the sun and earth. The major portion between the sun and earth is a vacuum, and because the light travels from the sun to the earth, so light does not require any medium to travel. लाइट को ट्रैवल करने के लिए कोई मीडियम की ज़रूरत है नहीं. लाइट किसी भी मीडियम में ट्रैवल हो सकती है. सो डियर स्टूडेंट, सेकंड प्रॉपर्टी इज लाइट डज नॉट रिक्वायर एनी मीडियम टू ट्रैवल, बट in the different medium the speed of the light is a different, right? And the speed of the light is maximum in a vacuum or a air और वैक्यूम में लाइट की स्पीड क्या है? मैक्सिमम है. લાઇટની સ્પીડ વેક્યુમ અથવા એરની અંદર કેવી હશે? મેક્સિમમ હશે. એન્ડ ધ સ્પીડ ઓફ લાઇટ ઇન અ વેક્યુમ ઇઝ 3 into the 10⁸ meter per second. So light can travel a distance of 3 lakh kilometer in a 1 second. And another property is that the light travels in a straight line. Light always travel in a straight path. So dear student, understand about what is the light and what are the basic properties of the light. Light is nothing but it is a form of the energy that produce the sensation in our eye. So what are the different properties of the light? Shall I revise? Light is a high frequency electromagnetic wave. The light has a wavelength lies in between 400 nanometer to the 700 nanometer, right? Light does not require any medium to travel. Light always travel in a straight line. Speed of the light is maximum in a vacuum or a air, and its value is 3 into 10⁸ meter per second. That the light travels the 3 lakh kilometer in a 1 second. So now dear student, when this type of the light falls on any surface, when the light falls on the any surface, some part of the light come back to the surface, and this part of the light is called the reflected light. So when the light falls on the surface, some part of the light are reflected back from the surface, and this phenomena is known as the reflection, and that light is called the reflected light. But some part of the light is absorbed by the surface, that is called the absorption, and some part of the light is transmitted through the medium, that is called the refraction. So these three phenomena occur when the light falls on the surface. So dear student, when the light are falling on the surface, some part of the light are absorbed by the surface, that is called the absorption. Some part of the light are reflected from the surface, this phenomena is called the reflection, right? And some part of the light are transmitted through the medium, that is called the refraction. So dear student, in this chapter we study about this reflection. So when the light falls on the solid surface, polished surface, the major portion of the light are reflected back, and this phenomena is known as the reflection of the light. But when the light falls on the transparent surface, the major portion of the light are transmitted through the object, right? And this phenomena is known as the reflection. So dear student, in this chapter we understand about these two phenomena regarding the light, reflection of the light and the reflection of the light. Refraction and the refraction are two important phenomena regarding a light, and with the help of this phenomena, reflection of the light and the reflection of the light, we can understand the formation of the rainbow, Tyndall effect, right, mirage effect. This all the effect occurring in our atmosphere we can understand with the help of the reflection and the refraction of the light, right? So the reflection and the refraction are two important phenomena. So dear student, first we will start the reflection of the light, and then after in this chapter we will understand about a refraction of the light. So let's start with the reflection of the light. As I told previously, what do you mean by the reflection? When the light falls on a highly polished surface like a mirror, most of the light is come back into the same medium. So when the light falls on the highly polished surface, smooth surface, right, most of the light is sent back to the same medium. Most of the light come back to the same medium, and this phenomena is known as the reflection of the light. Look at this picture, right? From the torch, when the light is falling on the solid surface, right, smooth surface, most of the light are come back to the same medium. So the angle that makes the light with the normal is called the angle of incident. We will see later on in this slide, right? And the reflected light comes in the same direction. So this principle is known as the reflection of the light. So what is the reflection? Okay, when the light falls on the any solid surface, any smooth surface, polished surface, right? Most of the light is come back into the same medium, and this phenomena is known as the reflection. So dear student, જ્યારે લાઇટ રેઝ ઓફ ધ લાઇટ કોઈ પણ સ્મૂથ અથવા તો પોલિશ્ડ સરફેસ પર પડે છે ત્યારે મોસ્ટ ઓફ ધ લાઇટ વધારે પડતી લાઇટ શું થાય છે એના એ જ ડિરેક્શનમાં પાછી પડે છે, અને આ ફિનોમિનાને આપણે શું કહીશું? રિફ્લેક્શન કહીશું. શું કહીશું? રિફ્લેક્શન ઓફ લાઇટ, રાઈટ? So before understanding more about the reflection of light, we must understand about some basic terms regarding the reflection of the light, right? So first term regarding the reflection of the light is a incident ray. What do you mean by the incident ray? The ray of the light incident on the surface is called the incident ray. The rays of the light falling on the smooth polished surface is called the incident ray. In the figure, look at this ray, ray AO, right? The ray AO is the ray falling on the surface. So this ray is called the incident ray. So the rays of the light incident or falling on the surface is called the incident ray. Next important term is that reflected ray. The ray of light come back from the surface is called the reflected ray. The rays of the light which come back from the surface is called the reflected ray. So in this figure, look at the ray OB. This ray OB is called the reflected ray. So what do you mean by the incident ray? The ray which falls on the surface is called the incident ray, and the ray which come back from the surface is called the reflected ray. Another important term is a normal. The line perpendicular to the mirror or the line drawn perpendicular to the surface is called the normal to the surface, right? So if you draw at any point, if you this point is called the point of incident, right? At this point of the incident, if you draw a perpendicular line to the surface ON, this ON is called the normal to the surface, normal to the mirror, right? So in this figure, the line ON, which is the line perpendicular to the surface or mirror, is called the normal to the surface. Now another important term is angle of incident. What do you mean by the angle of incident? The angle between the incident ray and the normal to the surface is called the angle of incident. So incident ray makes the angle with the normal is called the angle of incident ray. So angle of incident કોને કહેવાય? ઇન્સિડન્ટ રે નોર્મલ સાથે જે એંગલ બનાવે છે એને આપણે શું કહીશું? એંગલ ઓફ ઇન્સિડન્ટ કહીશું. સો ડિયર સ્ટુડન્ટ, એંગલ ઓફ ઇન્સિડન્ટ ઇઝ ધ એંગલ between the incident ray and the normal to the surface is called the angle of incident. In this figure, look at this angle. This ray AO is called the incident ray and this line normal ON. So this angle is called the angle of incident represented by I. So the angle AON is called the angle of incident. And similarly, angle of reflection. What do you mean by the angle of reflection? The reflected ray makes the angle with the normal is called the angle of reflection. The angle between the reflected ray and the normal is called the angle of reflection. In this figure, the angle BON, this angle is called the angle of reflection and it is denoted by small r. So the angle of incident makes the incident ray makes the angle with the normal is called the angle of incident and reflected ray makes the angle with the normal is called the angle of reflection. So now dear students, how the rays of the light reflected from the surface, the reflection can be classified into the two different types. So according to the rays of the light reflected from the surface, the reflection is classified into the two categories. So there are two different types of the reflection. First one is the regular reflection and second one is the irregular reflection. So from the figure you can easily understand what do you mean by the regular reflection and what do you mean by the irregular reflection, right? So when the ray of the light are falling on the surface of the reflecting ray, so when the rays of the light falls on the surface, the reflecting ray are in the same direction. The reflection is called the regular reflection, and when the rays are falling on the surface and the reflected ray are in the different direction, this type of the reflection is called the irregular reflection. So dear student, in the regular reflection, the light rays that falls on the surface of the reflecting object reflect back in the same direction. So when the light rays that falls on the surface, right, come back in the same direction, this type of the reflection is known as regular reflection, right? So reflection from the smooth polished surface, shiny surface are a regular reflection. Another example is the reflection from the plane mirror, right, is also a regular reflection. And what do you mean by the irregular reflection? So when the ray of the lights are fall on the rough surface, the light rays that falls on the surface are reflected back in the different direction irregularly. This type of the reflection is known as the irregular reflection, right? Reflection from the rough surface, reflection from the all other objects are a irregular reflection. So dear student, understand about what do you mean by the regular reflection and what do you mean by the irregular reflection. I repeat once again. So when the light rays falls on the surface, the reflected light are in the same direction. This type of the reflection is called the regular reflection. And when the ray of the light falls on the surface and the reflected lights are in the different direction irregularly, this type of the reflection is called the irregular reflection. Reflection from the smooth polished surface, reflection from the plane mirror are an example of the regular reflection, and reflection from the rough surface, reflection from the all other objects are a example of irregular reflection. So now dear student, we understand about the some basic laws regarding a reflection, that is called the laws of the reflection. These laws of the reflection are applicable for both the type of the reflection, either regular reflection or irregular reflection, right? So regular reflection હશે કે irregular reflection હશે, these laws of the reflection are true for both the type of the reflection. So what are the laws of the reflection? So here look at the picture, you can see that the ray of the light, so when the ray of the light are incident on the smooth surface at a point of incident O, the ray of the light is reflected back from the surface. So this ray is called the incident ray, this ray is called the reflected ray. So if you draw a perpendicular line from the point of incident, this line is called the normal to the surface. Incident ray makes an angle with the normal is called the angle of incident. Reflected ray makes an angle with the normal is called the angle of reflection. So there are two different types of the laws of reflection of the light, and these laws is true for both the type of the reflection, regular reflection as well as the irregular reflection. So first law of reflection is that the incident ray, the reflected ray and the normal to the surface is all are lies in a same plane, right? So I repeat the sentence. First law of reflection is that the incident ray, the reflected ray and normal to the surface all are lies in the same plane, right? This one is the first law of the reflection. And the second law of the reflection is the angle of incident and the angle of reflection are same. So according to the second law of the reflection, the angle of incident I and the angle of reflection R is same. So જેટલા એંગલે આપણે લાઇટ રે ઇન્સિડન્ટ થયું હશે એટલા જ એંગલે શું થશે, લાઇટ reflect થશે. So from that short question can be asked in your examination. So when the light is incident at an angle 30 degree, what is the angle of reflection? So dear student, the angle of incident and the angle of reflection are same. So dear student, I hope that you understand the what do you mean by the reflection and what are the laws of the reflection. Thank you for watching my video.